refers to the position of the subject with regard to the action. So tense is what tells us if it is happening, has happened, will happen. That's tense, past, present, future. Voice tells us who is doing the action and what's their relationship to the action. So every verb has voice and tense. And I know that's confusing, but I'll tell you what that means in 1 second. So look at the top of your piece of paper here. You'll see that this syncs up with what I'm about to tell you. What's the active voice and what's the passive voice? All right, take a look at this sentence. Poe wrote the black cat. Poe wrote the black cat. Which is the subject and which is the verb? Somebody raise their hand and tell me which is the subject. Montez? Subject. Poe. What is the verb? Wrote. That's exactly right. The subject is Poe and the verb is wrote. So let's think for a second about the relationship of the subject and the verb. In this sentence, is the subject actively doing or actively having done in the past? Or are they passively receiving the action of the verb? Which one? Actively doing or having done? Or passively receiving? That's right. So this is an example of the active voice. In the active voice, this is the part that you write under active voice, the subject actively does the action of the verb. Now remember, this doesn't have anything to do with tense, so they could actively do it in the future, they could actively do it in the present, they could actively do it in the past, but they're the one doing the action of the verb. Give me a second to write that down. Once you're done writing that down, look at the second sentence. In the second sentence, which is the subject? Somebody raise their hand? Can somebody raise their hand, Alvin? Alvin! The black cat is the subject, and which is the verb? Was written is the complete verb. Was is a to-be helping verb, and written is a participle form. So we see the black cat was written. Now, is the subject of this sentence actively doing or receiving the action of the verb? Receiving. They're passively receiving. So this, in fact, is an example of the passive voice. So the passive voice is when the subject passively receives the action. You can hear that in the sentence. The black cat was written. The black cat's not doing the writing. It's receiving the action of the writing, having been written. The active voice, Poe wrote it. Poe is the one actively doing it. Free of tense. So this could be the black cat was written, the black cat is written, is being written, will be written. Free of tense. Now here's the special thing. That kind of feels like math, right? It's a little bit weird and complicated linguistically. Here is the cool and sometimes problematic thing that the passive voice can do for us, is that you don't have to have an agent who does the action of the verb in passive tense. I put by Poe in brackets because that sentence would make total sense without anyone to do the action, right? The black cat was written in 1918. It wasn't. Do you guys remember which year it was actually written? No. Well, was it in the 1900s?
Yeah.
Oh, so close. 1843. So the passive voice doesn't require a subject. Now, I know. That's why we're going to go slow. So let me ask you this. Why do you think, I'll just tell you, in academic language, we want to prefer the active voice. Looking at these two sentences, why do you think that is? Why would you predict that we want to prefer the active voice in academic language when we're writing a paper? Kevin?
if I said I wrote, close to say if I said I wrote the beast in the wilderness, it would come off to you as a strong tense, like me writing a red pen.
Yeah, it makes it very clear.